Everyone, welcome to the show. So, I have news for you guys today that I cannot believe. Once again, I can't believe this is not on every major news channel. It just proves that Donald Trump, he is so good at getting the mainstream media to just run after the next thing, to chase the next car. They're so dumb. They cannot stick with anything. They don't get it. Like, I get they're not supposed to play one side against the other. They're not supposed to show favoritism. They're not supposed to be trying to take Donald Trump down. But the Epstein story is a huge, huge scandal and story. And the fact that they have just dropped it basically, and they are so going in the paint. They're just going so hard after this whole thing with DC and the National Guard being there and everything. Like, seriously, what is covering that going to do? Nothing. It does nothing. Anyway, so here's the deal. Here is what I am shocked that they're not covering. Donald Trump did it, or at least his Justice Department did it. They did what everyone knew that they were going to do since Ghislaine Maxwell said what they wanted her to say. They basically gave her a way to get out of prison whenever she wants. They have given her a get out of jail free card. So I have that explosive news to share with you guys today. I also have news about a plan to bring Epstein victims to DC to talk about Epstein and Maxwell publicly. Also, a Republican member of Congress is saying that, yeah, we still might subpoena former Trump administration official Alex Acosta. We still could subpoena him and bring him in to testify. So I'll tell you guys why that'll never happen. Before I get into the details, though, please do me a big favor. Hit the subscribe button below this video. It is free for you. Truly, really helps the show, and I greatly appreciate it. So here's the deal. Here's what's going down. Allison Gill, who I've mentioned before, she is the host of the Mueller, She Wrote podcast and the Twitter account associated with that. She obtained a bunch of Ghislaine Maxwell's prison records, and this was after Donald Trump's DOJ transferred Maxwell out of her Florida prison, out of the real prison that she was in, and into the puppy summer camp down in Texas, where she's currently living. Well, according to the documents that Gill reviewed, and I have one to show with you guys, Maxwell is now eligible for release. Take a look at this. So what you guys are looking at here, this is a portion of the documents that were obtained by Gill. If you look all the way to the right, what you're going to see is it says custody, and then if you look below custody, you see the word out. What that means is that if Maxwell claims, oh, you know what? I have to work. I have a job and it requires my attention. She can get a day pass to leave this so-called Texas prison. So, first of all, that is obscene. Considering her crimes, this is absolutely obscene and sickening. Second, this is exactly like what they did with Jeffrey Epstein. This is like the sweetheart deal that was granted to her child predator boyfriend, Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Maxwell's attorney, he kind of sort of denied it, but not really. So here's what I mean by that. So his name is David Marcus. I've mentioned him before. He posted about this on Twitter, and he wrote, quote, "Another day, another false rumor about Ghislaine meant to unnecessarily inflame folks." Not a denial, right? She may not be out at this very moment, but she very clearly is eligible to leave. Not only that, but according to Allison Gill, Maxwell's designation as a sex offender has been waived. That's how they were able to get away with transferring her to this puppy prison. The Daily Beast reached out to Gill for comment after they spoke with Maxwell's attorney, and after he made his non-denial denial. And she replied, let me bring this up for you because I have it. She wrote, I stand by my reporting and my sources. Ghislaine Maxwell's electronic file clearly shows her public safety factor of sex offender has been waived, allowing her to be transferred to a minimum security camp, which by default includes work release. I have not reported that Ms. Maxwell has left the facility on work assignments, but if Mr. Marcus would like to go on the record and assure the residents of Bryan that she will not leave the facility as the waiver apparently grants, I'm certain they and Maxwell's survivors, who have been left out of the process at every step, would be relieved to hear it. I'd also like to ask Mr. Marcus, who authorized the waiver? Yeah, I would like to know that as well. I'm sure you guys would like to know who did that. Who authorized this waiver that made her no longer a sex offender? Right? So anyway, next I have this. Speaking of who authorized this waiver, more than likely, you're looking at her on the screen as you see Pam Bondi here. The Democrats have now sent a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi. They're demanding details about Maxwell's meeting with the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who, as you all know, was Donald Trump's personal attorney. So they gave the Justice Department until August 26th to turn over the documents and or the transcripts and recordings that they have. Not sure what happens after that date. I mean, they're like, oh, you have until this date, but it's like, okay, yeah, what are you going to do? Right? I don't know. I mean, maybe Bondi turns into a pumpkin to match her boss. Anyway, I'm sure she's going to get right on this. In the meantime, we have some bipartisan action and support on this topic. So Republican lawmaker Thomas Massie, who you guys have probably heard of, I've talked about him on the show before. He's more of a libertarian. He has become a pain in the ass for Donald Trump, to my surprise and glee. So he has now joined forces with Democrat Ro Khanna, and they're going to be hosting a press conference featuring some of Epstein's victims. So they just announced that the press conference is scheduled for September 3rd. This is going to be held at the Capitol in D.C., and this is, of course, after everyone returns from their summer break. And according to Massie and Khanna, they're going to have several victims there who will be speaking out for the first time. So this isn't all the usual suspects, all the same women who we've heard from before. These are going to be some people talking about the abuse that they experienced, not just at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein, but also at the hands of Ghislaine Maxwell. And so Massie and Khanna said at this press conference, they're also going to provide an update because they had filed a discharge petition. So what that does, if they have enough backing, enough support for it, they could force the House to vote on the release of the Epstein files. And don't quote me on that. I think they need a certain number of people co-signing. I'm not 100%. But in any case, I do know for a fact that it allows them to force a vote to release the Epstein files. They've also introduced something called the Epstein Files Transparency Act. So what that is if Congress passes that bill, Attorney General Pam Bondi would be forced to release all of the Epstein documents, and they have to be released in a quote-unquote searchable and downloadable format. Now, do I think that that's going to happen? Hell no. I mean, and even if it does, they'll drag their feet. They're going to fight it in court, right? So, Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, they'll drag it out. They will definitely wait it out until Trump is out of office and then kick it to the next person. And even if they were to release anything, by now they've gotten rid of anything that has Donald Trump's name in it. So, Florida Republican, which is my next bit of news, Anna Paulina Luna, you guys may have heard of her. She claims that the Republicans may still call former official Alex Acosta to testify. Now, Acosta, as you guys probably know, he was a U.S. attorney when Epstein was first arrested and charged. I think it was 2007. Acosta, it could have been 2008. Acosta is the one who gave Epstein that barely a slap on the wrist, work release BS, total sweetheart deal. So gave him a plea agreement without bothering to tell the victims, by the way, which violates court rules. So that is how they were able to still prosecute Ghislaine Maxwell. It's kind of a, blessing in disguise, because under the law, they would have had to at least inform Epstein's victims first before they made that plea agreement with him. And then they could come forward and speak their mind to the court and say why they think it should or shouldn't be upheld and honored. So they didn't do that. And so that gave the judge an out to say, well, then, you didn't follow the due process with that whole plea agreement. And so the part that they added in there about not being able to go after any of Epstein's co-conspirators, basically that got thrown out as well. So, like I said the other day, it's ridiculous that the House didn't bother to subpoena Alex Acosta. You're subpoenaing, you're setting a subpoena to Bill and Hillary Clinton, who are never going to show up, but yet you're not going to subpoena the guy who actually made the deal and has been quoted, has not confirmed it, but has been quoted as saying, oh, I was going to go after him and throw the book at him or something to that effect, but then I was told that he was working with intelligence, so I had to back off. But yeah, let's not talk to that guy. And Luna, by the way, she's a hardcore MAGA Kool-Aid drinker, so her comments are worthless. It's basically just cover for the party. It's really telling, though, in my opinion, because it shows that the Republicans are aware that this is a political liability. It shows that they're aware that they're in a political predicament. And you know who else knows this? You know who else is aware of this risk? Donald Trump. Because the Trump biographer and journalist Michael Wolff, he was recently on a Daily Beast podcast, and he told the host that Trump has been calling people nonstop. He's calling aides, he's calling friends, he's calling all kinds of people, and he's telling them, and I have to bring this up for you guys so you can see the headline. Oh, wait. Yeah, no, this isn't it. This is a different one. So this is the one about Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna bringing people to the Capitol, or bringing Epstein victims to the Capitol. This is the one. So take a look at this headline. Donald Trump has supposedly been telling people, I need a big thing. I mean, that could be interpreted in several different ways, right? And don't we all need a big thing? Anyway, Wolff said that everyone understands that what Trump is meaning by this is that he needs a big distraction from the Epstein story. So they've been floating a bunch of things, they've been positing all these different ideas. First, I guess Trump spoke with Andrew Cuomo. And so he was talking about trying to team up with him to take down Zohran Mamdani, which, would make his wealthy donors and buddies happy, but also as a distraction from the whole Epstein thing. So that never really gained any steam. So they let that go. Well, then Trump did what he's doing now, which is working with the mainstream media. He deployed troops to DC. And now, according to Wolff, on top of that, I don't know for a fact that this is going to happen, but basically Trump is planning to throw Ukraine under the Trump train. He is supposedly going to pull all U.S. support for Ukraine after he meets with Putin this week, which you guys probably have heard. He's meeting Putin in Alaska, not in Russia, as he keeps saying, but in Alaska. So, I mean, it would be completely disastrous. But that's the word from Michael Wolff, is that he is planning to throw them under the bus, throw them to the wolves, because he wants to get out of this Epstein thing. And so he's just trying to create a bigger scandal. So we'll see if that happens. If so, you heard it here. Well, not first, because it came out first in the Daily Beast, but second, maybe. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please please share this video so everybody else knows that Ghislaine Maxwell has been given a get out of jail free card. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not. If you can donate, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you all so much. Take care. Talk with you soon.